Okay, our next speaker is going to be Carl, WF6J. He's going to be giving a talk on weak signal audio sounds and also the club website. And I want to really thank him because our regularly scheduled speaker last week canceled and Carl stepped up to give today's talk. So I really want to thank him for stepping up and giving a talk at the last minute. Carl?
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. All right. If you were here at the last meeting, you saw this presentation. However, I didn't bring the Mac and I couldn't play the audio file, so we're doing a review, if you will. And the part of the presentation was more stuff on 2 meters than just doing FM and repeaters. And let's start out with a review on propagation. Earth, Moon, Earth, where you bounce your signals up and back. Aurora, which is typically in the northern climates, where you get the aurora borealis and you bounce your signals off of them. Meteor scatter, when a meteor shower comes through, they leave an ionizing trail. Again, you bounce your signals off of it. And then sporadic E, which if you're a 6-meter operator, you're more familiar with that. And that it's in the hot time of the summer, from spring to late summer, and the atmosphere sets up so that you can actually bounce your signals once or sometimes double bounce and get more DX that way. And then the last thing is ducting or tropo, and what we're going to do is we're going to try to do this without my glasses. So the first thing here was Earth, Moon, Earth. And what you can see, if I'm blocking this, what you can see on the top here is that there's a big antenna system, big guns for EME that looks like probably 48 elements in an H pattern on a tower. And below that you can see a waterfall thing that for the digital nodes. A lot of people have gone digital and makes it so you can send your CQ and your call and receive somebody quite quickly. So these are the audio files I couldn't play at the last one. Is that picking it up? And you can hardly even hear anything in there. Towards the end, you can hear some pulses. If I sent a quick CW pulse to the moon, and in 3 seconds, I'd get it back. So I'd go, beep, beep.
Is that mic on?
All right, now here's something that's going to hurt your ears, and this is just one.
Is the mic on? Yes.
I have this on,
Yeah, the other one.
this is on, and this is on. I just asked if people heard it. No, this isn't on. Thank you.
Okay. There we go. That's good.
There you go. So anyway, it sounds like this, except for about a half a second when you can hear the digital file. Now this file is the actual digital file from the station that was sending it, and we won't stay on it too long because it's loud. And I'm sure some of you can recognize what that is, what mode it is. JT, right, I get rid of that, it's JT mode. Well, moving along to something more interesting, Aurora, that's a picture of Aurora, and if you point your antenna on it, you can bounce in different directions. And this is what CW on Aurora sounds like. Okay.
What was the call?
Did you get the call? QI, number 4. He was calling CQ, and that's what it sounded like coming off the Aurora. I know this is so fascinating, you're gonna fall asleep. And this one we saw, and this was in Aurora, but the cause of it is, you know, nice flares that come off of the sun, and if they come off towards us, we get the radio interference plus aurora conditions. And I'll just cruise through this really quickly. And the next is meteor scatter. And this is when you see, you know, any of the known, how did that work?
First hit shower comes by every year.
Okay, I don't hear it.
Yeah.
So we have some more meteor scatter, but it changes the sound of your audio, it changes the sound of your CW, but you can get used to it. So here's no, what's going on here? Something has happened. Well, guess what? You can't listen to this on a Mac either. Okay, let's see if any of these work. Here's sporadic E sideband. So they're exchanging grid squares, and you can hear the flutter, which isn't because they're mobile, it's because it's a sporadic E. Okay, so there's a couple more here, and the idea is that, you know, it's like working somebody who's not too far away, except you're doing 500, sometimes 1,000 miles, sometimes 100 miles, and it affects what it sounds like. Oh, the station that recorded this wasn't, he was overloading his own recording apparatus.
Roger, you're 5-9 Echo, Lima 9-7. Take 4 Mike, I got 2 of Delta 5, Delta Whiskey India.
Yeah, and this is sort of like working a VA jet contest, the same thing.
Are you running FM?
Sideband.
It's all sideband, okay.
Everything is sideband or CW.
What power level?
You can run a 25-watt rig, but typically everybody runs 100. If you're sporadic E, if the band opens, you don't really need that much power or antenna. If you're doing EME or something else, you need about 100 watts, something like a 10-element or larger beam. Here's some more sporadic E. And the fading in and out of the QSB is typical. And when you hear that clunk when he turns on the transmit, he's usually high power, and it usually means he has a sequencer, which turns off the preamp, turns on the amplifier, you know, a sequence of events. Oh, I see what's happening here. I hit the button myself and shut it off.
I went next to the horizontal with the 13-element push cramp over. Yeah, okay, well, I used to have, I had 4 of the 18-element
And something here in the text that you can see behind me says when the maximum usable frequency gets up to 220, the 220 band. If 6 is open, 2 meters is usually open. If 2 meters is open and 6 is kind of in and out, that's not uncommon. And again, it happens in the months between now and late August. And this is sporadic E again. The FAI, what that means is that if I'm aiming my antenna over there to Oregon, it's not going to bounce where I think it's going to. It's going to be in a different direction. Field aligned irregularities is a magnetic field. Okay, so that was short and sweet. And tropo, or see you later. Okay, we can't hear the other operator too much, but this is between Florida and Texas. If you knew your grid squares, you'd figure that out for what they said. Well, the guy was in there, believe me, and he was in Houston, and the guy you just heard is in Tampa, Florida. So pretty good for 2 meters. Yeah. And there's all kinds of other stuff you can get into to learn about how it all works. Okay, and what I said during the pitch last meeting is that you kind of become a meteorologist weatherman to figure out what different things that you can get to, what the weather is doing, where the fronts are setting up, and what could be the direction for the event, as that said.
Yeah, every year here when it starts getting cold, we get an excellent duct that goes right down to Fresno. I can contact them, no problem.
Yeah, down the valley, especially the fog.
Yeah.
As the fog lifts, you've probably been on the freeway and you've driven under the fog, and that's very good for getting down into, actually into Mexico as well as Los Angeles.
As it changes in starts to warm up, they just disappear.
Yep.
How can you tell the difference whether something's coming in tropo or sporadic E? Is it just by looking at the meteorology?
Yeah, looking at the meteorology, you can tell by listening to the signal, that fading.
I wasn't hearing it when you were comparing the two.
Okay, but when you're listening to somebody, we're talking back and forth, it sounds almost like you're mobile. You hear this, not picket fencing, but the vibrations, the reinforcement and cancellation of the signal between the two places. When you're in tropo or tropospheric things where a duct is set up, you pretty well, it's just like having a communication with the guy next door, but he's 200, 300, 500 miles away. And there's always exceptions to all this stuff. And I'll point on Jerry in the back there. Jerry worked Hawaii on 2 meter FM from downtown Lincoln. No, I'm sorry, Loomis. I apologize. Downtown Loomis. So that's what happened. So for those of you that were at this last time, you can do that. And for those of you that weren't here at the last meeting and you want to see this presentation, it's up on the website under the Yahoo YouTube section. You go to W60K videos, it'll take you to the page, and I think it's the first one. Thanks to KO6TH for doing all of this work. So that's it on the sideline. There's on 2, unless there's a question.